could you come up here and introduce me?
This is my version of Dr. Phil and Mr. Rogers. And one hell of a man.
Thank you, Cliff.
I'll be back here if you need me.
I'll be back there shortly because I know you got a bottle of scotch on your side. Again, welcome. Thank you for being here. It's great. This is our first time we've tried this, and I think it's so far, well, you tell me, how's it going? Good. Excellent. Tomorrow, better. More hands-on. It's going to be a lot of fun. So we're excited. We're glad you're here. Probably the best person that I can turn it over to right now is Ben Donahue. Ben, this is his passion. This is what he does. He's phenomenal. We're so happy that he's on our staff. So Ben, could you come up? Ben. I want to thank Ben. I want to thank Maria. I want to thank Emily, of all the people on the staff that have really come up and taken charge and put this thing together. It's not me, it's these guys. And you're only as good as your staff, and we've got a damn great staff. Yeah.
Thank you, Phil. I'd also like to thank Tom Kent, who is also on our committee's plan in this event. So you have met Tom. Introduce yourself. Great guy. Thank everybody. I thank you for coming tonight. I know we got volunteers here. We have people from all around the state, out of the state, who came to this conference. I really appreciate you guys coming here. I hope that you're learning lots and connecting with people. And that's what we really want this to be about: opening conversation, so we can improve the welfare of the animals in our community. I'm a very circular person. What we do here affects our next door neighbors. And so, and that's how I always think. Anyway, a person who I think thinks very similarly is a person named Dr. Mark Johnson. I met him about 4 or 5 years ago. He came and introduced the Y-pole. And it was kind of an interesting tool that he used and an interesting concept. And he is a wildlife veterinarian. He helps a lot with wolves that are in captivity now. He does a lot of speaking with that. He helped reintroduce wolves into Yellowstone. And now he's done a lot with animal welfare, helping with feral dogs, spay neuter programs in countries that need help. And just handling animals in a more humane way. Anyway, without any more to say, I'd like to introduce Mark Johnson.
This is a long ways away. Maybe I'll move this podium up a little bit. Good evening.
Good evening.
Great to be here. Great to be here. It's a real privilege to be a part of Heart of the Valley's Shelter Behavior Conference. And this evening is going to be a little bit different. We're going to change this here. This evening is going to be a little bit different because instead of talking about the dog's behavior, I'm going to talk about our behavior and how it relates to working with fearful dogs. Good thing I don't have an empty front row, huh? Like many of you, I visited quite a few animal shelters, and I have the greatest respect for Heart of the Valley. I sincerely do. It's some of the best quality professionalism and animal care in the country. The facilities are just amazing, and I've had a real privilege to working with them. So I'm real honored and pleased to be a part of this. Well, I'm going to share with you perspectives. on how to humanely handle fearful or fractious dogs. And the use of dominance when we're interacting with dogs catches a whole lot of attention. And most people think that you can't use dominance to create a more compassionate handling. So we wanted to add that as a distinct part of this talk. And I truly believe that dominance is essential for us to humanely and safely handle fearful dogs. So we're going to explore that. And then I'm going to share a variety of other perspectives on working with these maybe uncooperative dogs. And to add to that and add a little bit of adventure, I'm going to include some videos of how these principles are being applied by students in my dog handling courses in India and Palau. So we're going to add a little bit of that as well. And I also wanted to kind of tell you what's happening with dogs in other parts of the world, because the U.S., people in the U.S. aren't very familiar with what's happening. Well, we're going to focus on shelter. We're going to focus on fearful dogs, and one of the groups of dogs are the shelter dogs. How many of you have had dogs that have become fear aggressive and difficult to handle once they're in your shelter? All right, quite a few. Is there more excitement? Yeah. Is the energy up a little bit? It actually affects the whole staff, doesn't it? And is there a safety issue for the humans as well? And with the dogs. So this is a real deal, and I hope that some of the principles that I talk about are going to be helpful that you can take home after the conference. The other group of fearful dogs are the street dogs or the feral dogs. And and these dogs are prevalent all around the world. Even here in the U.S., in the South, in the big cities where there's large vacant industrial parks like Detroit and LA, there are packs running all over the place. But the real problems are in countries around the world where they're struggling with huge dog overpopulations, and many of these dog populations are carrying rabies. 55,000 people die of rabies every year. That's 150 people a day. 95% of those people are in Asia, especially in India and in Africa, and 97% of the human deaths are caused by dog bites. It's startling how significant this is and how much suffering there is for both humans and for the dogs. It's seriously a public health issue. These are common sights in other parts of the world, absolutely common sights. And unfortunately, there are drastic measures that are being taken when the dogs are taking over the villages. They're threatening people and they're spreading rabies, and so there's a real drastic reaction. Even in a place in India where it's illegal to kill these animals or poison them, there's a bounty. And these people are making a living doing this. And just recently, in Romania, a boy's death sparked a national approval to kill all street dogs. So the animals are suffering as well. This is huge. Well, the solution, where there is massive dog overpopulation, is CNVR. Spay-neuter. CNVR is capture, neuter, vaccinate, and release. This is where the animals are caught up, they're sterilized, vaccinated, and then they're returned to the same location where they're caught so that the packs remain intact. It creates much more stability, calmer animals, fewer human dog bites, less spread of rabies. And we know that rabies can be eradicated. It's actually straightforward, although the task is going to take decades and decades where there's such huge dog overpopulation. And it's dog management as well as vaccinations and human vaccinations that's going to help control this. Well, one of the, but the CNVR, or spay-neuter programs, they struggle with knowing how to capture these animals because there is no training on methods and equipment. The crudeness of their ways, even with the most loving intentions, are actually disturbing. So I've traveled to many parts of the world to train the trainers and to provide, in some cases, some very unique concepts, some of which I'll share with you, on how to humanely and safely handle these dogs in ways that's practical for them, and as well as giving them progressive ideas that they can use as their resources improve. Well, here's some of the examples of what I teach. One of the core concepts I teach is that when we handle fearful dogs, we should not fight the animal. For example, with physical restraint, our mindset really is that we're going to fight the dog. But look at this handler. Is he relaxed? Absolutely. And carefully look at that dog. He may have tight cheeks, but he's a relaxed animal. Do you see that? He's actually a relaxed animal. That's a street dog. And even when the animal is fighting in our hands, and our fingers and our arms are tense, we can teach our mind and our heart to be relaxed. And break kind of a routine reaction that most people have when they're catching up dogs, like at puppy mills or hoarding cases. Most people fight with the dog